at least I had like a little bit of a preconception of Trent and Atticus and Nine Inch Nails, and I remember being very nervous, meeting them for the first time, and like these hardcore, techno rock, and they're so sweet and lovely and collaborative, and obviously extremely talented, and I would say some of the best composers working in film today. I decided very early on not to treat this just as a collaboration on like a composer and a director, but I wanted to take the back seat a little bit and let them do their art and do their sound, and also they bring so much to it, and how they analyze a scene and how they elevate it. So it was a fantastic process to be a part of.
Hey Joachim, how's it going?
Hey, good to see you.
Good to see you. This is, I think, the coolest looking background we've ever seen for a junket before, so this is awesome.
And they're getting bigger and bigger, I feel. It's like every time I do an interview on this movie, it's like the sets here are like growing.
That's amazing. We just wanted to first off congratulate you on the film. And it's so amazing to be able to talk about Tron again, and to see what you pulled off in this film is just fantastic. So thank you for your time.
Great, thank you.
Yeah, we got a chance to speak last year when you were making The Woman of the Sea, and you talked about how you're going into the editing bay for Tron Ares. How does it kind of feel to finally get this movie out here and talk about it?
It's a little bit unreal. This is actually the first day of our press tour. So now this is like, we're in New York today, and then tomorrow we're in Paris, and then we're off to, all this, that you do on these big movies, which we didn't on Young Woman and the Sea, it's like, but I just feel so lucky to be able to tell different kinds of stories.
And, I think, where we really wanted to start off with this one is that, you're working with Nine Inch Nails, and you have, I think, far and away the best soundtrack of the year with Tron Ares. Yeah. So we'd just love to know right out of the gate, what was it like working with them on Tron Ares?
I mean, where to begin a little bit? Like, it was such an amazing journey, and you kind of have like, at least I had like a little bit of a preconception of Trent and Atticus and Nine Inch Nails, and I remember being very nervous, meeting them for the first time, and like these hardcore, techno rock, and they're so sweet and lovely and collaborative, and obviously extremely talented, and I would say some of the best composers working in film today, regardless. Obviously, the difference on this film was that they were doing it under their Nine Inch Nails band name. So I decided very early on not to treat this just as a collaboration on like a composer and a director, but I wanted to take the back seat a little bit and let them, do their art and do their sound, and also they bring so much to it, and how they analyze a scene and how they elevate it, and also the way they mix it together with our sound mixers and sound designers. And everybody was just this big group of people over at least half a year, where if Nine Inch Nails, if Trent and Atticus, if they had like a tone in their score, the sound designers, put the sound effects to that same tone and trying to merge the two things. And we had like, okay, which scene is music forward, which scene is sound effects forward, and it was just this dance, pun intended, that went for a long time in the production of this soundtrack, and how they mixed it. And this was also very interesting with the mixer Ron Bartlett, like putting the music very much in the front speakers, almost like you hear the sound at the concert, So it's a lot of these things, and I sometimes, working on the film and sitting in mix, almost forgetting why I'm there for a second, because I'm just listening to the track basically. So it was a fantastic process to be a part of.
And we're actually so grateful that you've already released the soundtrack as well, because like we were driving to it yesterday, and you're right, a lot of it does feel like it's coming right from the front of the car. Like we were just like, whoa, we're getting sucked into the grid pretty much.
No, because like a Tron movie also will always be very heavy on sound effects, and we found it very often that it can crash a little bit with the score. So it became this kind of fine balance to find as we went along. And Trent and Atticus was with us in the sound mix for a long time, and just being very cradling of this baby. And it's so loud. Seeing the film, it's like you walk in there and it's just like from the opening chord. I always kind of wanted that to be kind of like a John Williams-y, with the Star Wars scroll and all the instruments going. And I don't know if you noticed that when Dillinger presses the enter at the top of the film and it just explodes. And I remember the first time I heard that, and like I goosebumps all over. Like it was exactly what it should be. And so very grateful to have them.
Yeah, we were lucky to watch this on IMAX, and I think our insides got rearranged a little bit of just how incredible it sounded. But I'm just curious, did they have any like written work for you that you shot the film with too as well, or is this more of a post? Did this happen on the post side?
Well, not really, but I knew that Nine Inch Nails were going to score it when we did principal photography. So I was just constantly listening to their back catalog and getting into the groove, and it allowed me to go a little darker, a little bit more industrial, and which I also wanted for this, to create that contrast between the digital world and the real world was very important. And knowing that they were going to do this, the score allowed me to push it a little further than a normal Disney movie, I guess.
Right. That no comment that you said to us last year makes a lot more sense now.
Yeah.
So we asked if you're bringing back that funk. You really came through.
Yeah, good.
Just as amazing as this movie sounds, it also looks even more amazing, especially when you're getting to kind of play within the IMAX format. What was it like kind of expanding those scenes? What was the right moment you wanted to use it? Because it's just stunning, and we were so grateful we got to see it in IMAX.
Yeah, I think like this franchise, like from the very first film through Kosinski's 15 years ago, it just set the bar so high visually, and I feel they are both, especially Legacy. I think it's Tron Legacy is such almost like a visually a cinematic masterpiece, and it was daunting to go into it and thinking, okay, how can I elevate that? How can I top that? And it was on my mind constantly for 3 years. Like, okay, we have to like together with how we shot it, together with ILM and the product, Guilford, the production designer, and all of this, and DP Jeff Cronworth, like how do we do this? The colors, the set pieces, and obviously, like one of the reasons why I do these big movies is, it has like a fairly big chance of seeing the inside of a movie theater. Knock on wood. And so when I make a movie like this, it's important for me to paint on the big canvas, and I know that we will see absolutely everything, and it's just front and center for me visually, like everything I do. And we were able, again, like having a budget like this, you are allowed to build. We built light cycles. We shut down Vancouver for 6 weeks of nights. We had them driving around there, and I hope that the audience will be able to feel that a lot of that was in camera, and as we say, and real, of course, mixed with ILM. There's still 2,000 VFX shots in the film, but it all comes together, and I think the franchise commands it in a way.
And I think, something you said earlier where there's an industrial feel to the film, there's also a very methodical feeling to this film where, you could have these giant Tron like light cycle chases, but then you're also stopping and still giving us this, this close up shot of, the eyes of these characters. So you're still connecting them, this humanity to that. And we just love to know, like, how did you want to balance, these large action scenes, but still have, humanity to the characters?
I think, like, for me, like, AI, like, that whole thing, like, in the last 3 years while we've been doing the film, it's been a moving target, like it exploded while we were just about to shoot. And, we adjusted a little bit to that because, from when we started shooting until the movie is now coming up, AI has just now suddenly become, everybody is using it every day, many times a day.
It's now possible to do what you do in the movie.
Yeah, well, yeah, so for me, it wasn't I'm not that interested in telling a story about AI. That's not what it is for me. It's Ares' journey, into figuring out what it means and what it takes to be human, and trying to somehow answer those questions by seeing this world, our world, the real world, through his eyes.
And what we loved so much also is you get this amazing opportunity to take us back to the OG grid, and we're seeing Jeff and everybody, and it's such a shift in visuals, but it also still feels part of that DNA. What was that experience like, kind of like going into that OG grid, and how did you want to kind of maintain that balance?
I think, like, if you look at the whole production, like the 3 years I've been involved, like that's probably going into the OG grid, the original 1982 grid was probably some of the most fun that we had. Like, everybody involved with the film, ILM and the other VFX companies that made some of this come alive with us. And us when we were shooting it, we had Jeff Bridges there, all dressed up, it was important to me that we try as much as we could, like, to really take a step back and make it look like the original movie. So we studied the hell out of the original movie, and on the rotoscoping and the coloring, hand coloring of the lights and the grain on their faces are black and white, basically. It's just like all this study that went into it, and I think everybody, especially in the post-production, had so much fun. It was like, a highlight to be able to work on what we can almost call the holy grail of computer animation, so and as you see, we also have the original light cycle in there, and I can't wait for, like, the fans to see some of that effort that we put into it.
Easter egg galore for sure.
Oh yeah. And when you think of especially what that first Tron movie meant for how movies are made today and for visual effects, to see that DNA kind of carried forward, that's amazing. We also just wanted to quickly call out just like the 3D printers with the lasers was probably like they sound so cool, but they also just look so cool, like how you were able to pull those off.
Believe it.
Yeah, you believe it.
Yeah.
So it was just we loved kind of geeking out on how they kind of worked in that visual as well too. It was very, very cool.
I'm so happy you say that, because, like, for me, it's always like when you do things that are so unbelievable, like in any movie, I guess it's so important to ground it in some form of real technology. And obviously, 3D printing is established technology now, but we just like made it into on a bigger scale, but like really trying hard to, like, okay, what is plausible, at least, like how would you transfer digital assets into the real world, and that's what it became. And I also like that it's dirty and fiery, and like, it's real world. It's not when something is materialized on the grid, it's like Here's like it's like gunshots,
Yeah. Yeah, it's a rough. It's like those rough edges that we just love
Yeah.
seeing, and then terrifying when 29 minutes happens. Where it's like, dear God, that's terrifying to see.
Horrifying.
Yeah, good.
Yeah. Joachim, again, we're so grateful for your time. We had such a fun conversation.
No, thank you, guys.
Second time on the show, so we really hope to get you again and talk to you in the future.
Yes, I'll come every time you want me.
Thank you so much. Take
Okay,
care.
thank you, guys.